Okay, thank you all for coming so much. I think we have a fair amount of new people in the room. Let's just get a show of hands. How many people in here is this your first Mogul? Hands up. Whoa. That's a good amount. There are exciting things going on in the city. I just want to introduce myself first. My name is Parker. I work with Mogul Realty Group, along with James and a couple other rock stars. Adrian at the back is also a realtor with us. So thanks so much you guys for coming. Basically, we just want to get things rolling. We want to get things running tonight. So we have a couple of great speakers. We have James. He's going to do a neighborhood profile. He's going to talk about the neighborhood in the city and get into the nitty-gritty of that neighborhood. We also have Mr. Barry McGuire in the back doing a continuation on last month. Last month he thought he was going to talk about wholesaling and agreements for sale, and he showed up with too many slides for both content. So tonight he's going to finish that talk, and he's going to do wholesaling tonight, so that'll be exciting. And then we also have Mr. Russell Westcott talking about. So, without further ado, I think we will get started. Everybody looks as seated as they're going to. So, I'm going to hand it off to James, and he's going to talk about a neighborhood profile. Let's give him a round of applause.
All right. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Thanks for taking the bait, Andrea. So one thing I've been doing for the first half of the year is I'm slowly and methodically working my way through the city of Edmonton, sector by sector by sector, explaining what's going on in different neighborhoods for the benefit of Mogul, but also for the benefit of our clients from across Canada. We have people in Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, and I get asked all the time, where should I invest in Edmonton? And I say, well, it depends what you're looking for. And so that's why we're profiling all the neighborhoods. So our neighborhood of choice for this particular meeting is West Edmonton. So what do people think about when they think about West Edmonton? Well, obviously, a giant mall with a pirate ship in it comes to mind. But there's a lot more going on in the west of Edmonton than West Edmonton Mall, and we're going to do a deep dive in it. I would say, in general, this is more or less what West Edmonton looks like. It's an older district of the city, very well gentrified, lots of mature trees, not a ton of properties that aren't single family in nature, and there's a lot of texture in the West End. There's some areas that are a little bit higher end, there's some areas that are a little bit lower end, so we're just going to break it down section by section and go over it. So what kind of tenant demographics are we looking at in West Edmonton? Well, there are some zones where you're going to see a lower income demographic with kind of like your lifetime tenant profile. Very stable group, as long as you are mindful of your screening and pick the right tenant. You're going to see working class, blue collar tenants. You're going to see a lot of trucks, depending on the zone of the West End that you're in. But you're also going to see a lot of downtown professionals and young professionals, people that want to have really good access to downtown, really good access to transit, and being near the river valley. You're also going to see a lot of those middle class families, which kind of ties into the working class and blue collar. What kind of properties are we going to target in the West End? Now keep in mind, I know this font is very small. The slide decks are available for download, so just follow along. And you'll be able to check the slides out. Everybody who's new, we email out the slide decks and the videos after every meeting. So you're going to see a lot of older houses from the late 60s and the 70s. This is going to be, kind of low to middle end tenant profile, very stable rents, houses that are really great targets for building basement suites. I know Elmsley and Colleen in the back there. They're building a basement suite in a house right now in the West End. Or you're going to see lots of suited houses. Illegal suited houses at a lower price point, and legal and fully renovated houses at a higher price point that have been refurbished. We're also starting to see a lot of people focusing on lots that are good for holding. 50 by 150 lots that could be subdivided in the future, where you hold the property right now and rent it out for, break even to slightly positive cash flow, knowing that as the West End gentrifies and becomes a more popular district, you're going to be able to subdivide it in the future and really add value to the land by increasing it through development. And we're also seeing a lot of new construction. So one of the hot topics that's on a lot of people's minds are, skinny homes, subdivision, building duplexes. There's a lot of land that's really, really prime for this in some of the west areas of the city. The other type of property that's pretty prevalent in the West End is in fact older multifamily buildings. So we're talking walk-up apartment buildings that are from the 60s and 70s era. So now the best part, we're going to break down the map. So the first two zones I identified are my green areas with the green star. These are going to be your super high-end, mostly affluent neighborhoods. The purple stars are where the LRT is going to be going. So you can see this whole West End area has got a lot going for it right now. Now this area right here, unless you're building a multi-million-dollar infill property, probably not an area that you want to target because it's tough to cash flow. The most expensive house in Edmonton is like right on this bluff right here. So it's a pretty ritzy district. Westmount, Glenora, Inglewood, this is an area where there's tons and tons and tons of skinny houses being built. I actually was in a presentation earlier today where I was told that there were 75 new houses built in Inglewood in the last 18 months. That's a huge amount of infill development in what is basically this tiny little square right here. This blue line is 124th Street. Now the cool thing about 124th Street is it's an area of rapid gentrification. 5 to 10 years ago, it was actually kind of sketchy. You saw a lot of pawn shops, cash shops, lower end rentals on the north side of it, and all of a sudden in the last 5 years, it's had almost a 180. You're seeing new shops going in, new fitness facilities going in, restaurants, and all of that good stuff. So this is being anchored by the fact that Glenora, which is one of the highest end districts in the city, is right next to it. So if you're looking at these neighborhoods, great targets for properties to hold, for future subdivision, or if the lot makes sense right now, a great place for doing subdivision. We've got the red zone right here. Now the red zone is actually where most of the multifamily buildings exist, but it's where Stony Plain Road is. Now right here on Stony Plain Road, there's actually a street corner where literally all 4 buildings on that corner are a pawn shop. It's a pawn shop corner. But the cool thing about an area that's in the red zone is it has the most room to grow once the infrastructure comes in. So if you want to be a pioneer, if you want to bravely lead the charge in this district right now, you can get multifamily properties for that like 100 to 110 a door range. You can get houses on 50 by 150 lots in that 275 range. Very inexpensive properties, and if you're willing to work with that tenant profile, then in the future, in the 5 to 10 year range when that LRT comes through, you're going to see a ton of land value appreciation as that area very rapidly gentrifies. Because you can see, it's basically a wave of high-end value that's just pushing its way this way. Now, one of my favorite areas for both building basement suite houses and for buying those holding properties is this green zone right here. We've got Jasper Place, Meadowlark, Glenwood, etc., with an extra green square being put here on Meadowlark, which is kind of the nicest part of this neighborhood. So again, right now, land values are low, lot values are a little bit lower, and it's a good time to get in because if you remember in a previous meeting when we talked about Bonnie Doon, that's where the LRT is going to be in 3 to 5 years. And those prices have already really started skyrocketing upwards because it's an area of gentrification and because it's an area where the LRT is under construction. So it's very easy to see the parallel here. I mean, Bonnie Doon is surrounded by, you know, that star green stuff as it transitions further to the neighborhood. We've got the same kind of relationship and trend forming here. So again, if you want to get in super early, this could be a great region to do it in. We've also got these 2 districts right here. Now there are going to be opportunities for things like, you know, single family houses. You might have an opportunity to build a basement suited house, but this is kind of more like late 80s, 90s suburb type of properties. So while there are going to be opportunities there, the price points are a little bit higher. They're going to be a little bit trickier to cash flow, and so you have to be a little bit more choosy in this area. Combined with the fact that if I was going to be putting my investment capital into the region, why not go where the LRT stop is going to be? We know from RAIN that within 800 meters of an LRT stop, that's where you see the most impressive value appreciation that outpaces the kind of value appreciation you would see from the regular market in whatever city you're investing in. So the West End, really exciting. If you want to do kind of high-end development projects in the immediate now, you've got space to do that. If you want to get into a neighborhood that's really quite at the low end with a lot of room to improve, we've got that. And then we have a nice stable area where properties are still very affordable for good medium to long-term holds. So that's talking about the West End. We're Mogul Realty Group. I think everybody signed in. You're going to be on the mailing list and receiving all of the slides. And I'm super excited. I mean, we have 2 heavy-hitting speakers today. We've got Russell, we've got Barry. You guys are in for a real treat, so I'm super excited. Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome. Let's give James another round of applause. That was really good. So what I took away from that is when you look at the West End, there's not only just those single family bungalows where you can put a suite in the basement. There's not only holding lots, 50 by 150 lots. There's not only new construction that you can do. Like, there's so many opportunities in the West End, but something that I would encourage you guys who are new is maybe pick one of those or maybe two of those and go for it, because there are probably 2 or 3 things that I see typically that new investors get caught in. You can educate yourself, you can analyze, you can do all these things, but then there's no action taken. And I feel like in a situation where you have a West End as diverse as that, especially when it comes to different types of rental properties, something that I often see is you're trying to look at, 50 by 150 lots, maybe I can bulldoze the house and build 2 skinnies. But maybe I should look at this house that's priced at $330 that has an illegal suite in the basement already, and you start going in so many different directions. Book a meeting with us and let's get you to where you want to go. So that would be my advice to you guys, is look at maybe 1, maybe 2 directions and just go for it, because there's a ton of opportunity. Don't spread yourself too thin when you go into it. So yeah, thanks so much for that, James. I think